Welcome everybody to another episode of Kicking It with my homeboy Dodger. I am Dodger. Make sure you follow us here at the channel Eyekon TV. Make sure you follow me at my homeboy Dodger. Shout out to our sponsors, Balls to the Walls Genetics, cookies, vibes, the whole lot goes on. You already know, honey packs, all that good stuff. Shout out to Infinite 22, another proud sponsor of the podcast, and I am here with probably one of the most underrated rappers to come out in the last couple years. And I'm not, saying that because we're connected through homies and stuff like that. But talent wise, you honestly stick out a cut above of the rest, big dog. I'm gonna be honest with you. Ever since I've came in contact with your music and known who you are, because you already know we share that mutual acquaintance, we'll get to that later. So I've always listened, and I always thought he rapped really well, but fool, you be getting off. You know what I'm saying? And you're definitely a student of your craft. That I could say that for sure. And dog, you're super underrated. But I'm here with South Central's own Little Danger from the Thresh Boys.
You already know, my boy. What's up with it?
What's going on? How you feeling today, dog?
Good, my boy. Good.
Thank you for coming in. First of all, I just want to say it's an honor, and I want to give you flowers of doing your stuff in this music and still staying relevant. We just had a little incident while going to grab coffee earlier, where even though you may feel that you haven't dropped stuff, like that's how much of an impact you've made on people and just the culture of Los Angeles. Just so you know, fool, like that's a big thing, dog. So I just I want to commend you on that, brother.
Appreciate that.
So
thanks to the people, my boy, they reciprocated and they feel the realness, you know what I mean? So
for sure. To the people, shout out to the people.
Do it without them.
Yeah. Shout out to that OG who stopped us for the photo earlier.
Serio. What's up?
With that being said, I want to get started from like the beginning, So you're born and raised in South Central?
Simón.
Can I ask you what's the inside of your household? How many brothers you have? How many sisters you have? Is it just your mama? Is your mom and pops?
Like growing up, it was, some mixture of a lot of different, for folks.
Got
you.
You
know what I mean? First I remember we were in Watts. Then we were there for like a year or so. Then we moved out. Then we ended up in South Central, you know what I mean? But once we got to South Central, that's when we got acquainted and everybody kind of like went their own way. Like my tias and shit,
Okay.
Everybody came from Mexico, so, I'm first generation Mexican American. So,
So it was a lot of primos. You grew up with a lot of primo hermanos.
Yeah. We're all bunched up in the beginning, but eventually, like I said, everybody, settled in.
Yeah. And then, can I ask you what kind of music are you listening to in the household when you're young, fool? And the reason why I ask this is because I'm always particular on like beat selection when we're older, like especially with the homies that rap. And when they pick their beats, I've noticed that it goes back to a lot of the roots. Like myself, I like horns and I like certain like musical instruments. So I know it goes back into like the mariachi. It definitely goes back into my love for Chente. You get what I'm saying? But that goes stuff to what my jefa was playing. So what kind of music was getting played in your house, fool?
Tucanes. You know what I mean? Just corridos. Like that's really like what I grew up to. And Chicano rap.
A lot of Chicano rap?
Chicano rap. So I had older uncles that gangbang and so they were into, Chicano rap. That's what we were bumping. I didn't start bumping hip hop till down the line, like I was like in middle school.
Yeah.
Like Nelly was out and all that. People were wearing the band-aids in their faces. Remember?
Hell yeah, I remember that. The big t-shirts and the. You're from the big t-shirt era too, fool?
Yeah. So they used to wear that, and like I was one of them ESL kids. I had to go to in ESL learn English and all that. But yeah, that was that was my upbringing in school wise, like, but yeah, that was what I did.
You know what? That makes sense because low key, I know a lot of your stuff be like a lot of your bangers be a lot of bass heavy, and I know that that's like, you know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
That's where I'm going
Yeah.
back to. Like that goes back to
Right.
like beat selection for you. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah.
So that's why I'm always curious about like what were you listening to as a child? Because I think when we're young, fool, like we might not like it, but or we might just think about it. But when we're older, it comes to stuff that we love. You know,
Right, right.
like before when I was younger, I hated Selena, fool. Now I love Selena. I ain't even
Right,
gonna
right,
hold
right.
you, dog. I be playing that shit, cleaning the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, so you already know. I'm pretty sure you watched that movie Gang of Time too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
That's Jennifer Lopez will always
Yeah.
be the
Yeah.
Selena. Not
Yeah.
none of that new.
Right.
J Lo will always be my Selena. You know what I'm saying?
Good shit.
Um.
So,
So your first. That's what I think that speaks a lot to like where your career has gone with the music. That your first memory of actual hip hop was actually Chicano rap. So who are your uncles bumping?
and like the G shit, dog. Like in South Central, you had Little Silent. Little Silent was doing his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember he used to go to Adams Middle School and shit, so that was like their neighborhood. They used to have songs out there and shit. I knew a few of the homies. Shout out to the homies. And I know Marro, the dude that had that throw your water in the sky.
Yeah.
What was it? In these times. Then you had Night Owl. Obviously, Night Owl was bumping Shadow, but yeah, like that's just to name a few. It was a lot of homies. It was a lot of homies at that
You
time.
know what? That's crazy. That not crazy, but I like that you said Night Owl
Yeah.
because nobody really ever really says that. But we're all bumping that. If you really
Night
listen
Owl,
to
yeah.
Chicano rap, like
Night Owl was bumping. Little
you,
Rob.
yeah,
Obviously,
you for sure listen to some
Man, you had
Night Owl.
like the homies. Brownside was bumping. You know what I mean? Like I remember. To be honest with you, like I remember, I didn't come into across them till like, man, bro. I can't really recall, but I do recall because that's where I grew up at in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember my prima one time came through, and we were bumping some shit, some radio. I forgot what song was bumping. She said, "Man, you guys gotta, take the off and bump." And she gave us, the Brownside CD, and we're like, "What the is this?" You know what I mean? And she's like, "Bump," and we did. And once I heard, the hood, and I was like, "Oh, that's the shit we see on the walls." And I was
Yeah.
like, but I was a little kid, so I was like, but now I'm seeing the visuals. I'm living right there in the neighborhood, so I'm seeing. So I was like, "Oh, like that's what's up." Like, you know what I mean? Like one day I'm gonna rap with these fools. You know what I mean? And damn, eventually that happened.
When did you start getting curious with hip hop?
Like I said, in middle school.
Middle school.
Middle.
So with the curiosity too, I mean like even to make it, like poetry wise, was there ever an inclination to make music?
No, not like right away. It was like once got into like the streets. Once got into the streets from going and buying Chicano rap CDs every Sunday at the swap meet. They had instrumental CDs too. Like, they had little instrumental CDs. So sometimes I would just purchase some of those.
Yeah.
So they had, the old school, either Dr. Dre or whoever certain songs from them, but just the instrumental. And started with that.
I definitely remember that because they were for sure selling the Dr. Dre Chronic 2001 instrumentals, just the CD by itself with just the instrumentals. I do remember that. That was a swap meet favorite for a while.
Yes. I think it was that one.
Yeah.
And, but I was not so big on them, you know what I mean? So I didn't really.
Yeah.
I wasn't big on none of them.
Yeah.
Nobody like really big hip hop. I was strictly Chicano rap, strictly corridos, you know what I mean? But yeah, I remember because of that, because we had those CDs, kicking them with the homies around, and just eventually like put it on Bullet's rap. And we used to have little tapes that we recorded and shit. But yeah, man, like that's how we started. But I never did nothing, obviously, you know what I mean?
The can I ask, after seeing like the Brownside stuff, was that like a, you know, and seeing how it hit home, and you're like, that's shit I be seeing on the walls. You know what I'm saying? Was that like an inspiration to even try it?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like one day I'm gonna be right there.
Yeah.
Like off the back, I knew like one day I'm gonna be right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was the first time you remember putting it on like an actual audio recording?
Audio recording that didn't come out till like 2014.
Okay.
2014, I just got out. So, you know, we linked up with the homie Chico. There was a dude. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that dude. I don't know. He disappeared. But Chico from GMS, that was his logo, his like logo and his brand. Get Money Society. He had music out there. That dude had music out there.
Actually, I do remember GMS, Get Money Society. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. So, you know, he was from Southside Thresh, and, you know, those are the homies. So we linked up naturally, and he was doing the music, and I had just got out. So I was trying to get in right into the music. So I'm like, hey, you know, like, we got to get into it. So I was taking the homies to the studio with him, and that's how we started. That's how we, you know, did our first. Eventually, that track ended up in Toker's ears when he was dropping banging stories, and he had just, you know, recorded to the casket drops. He hadn't dropped the video yet, so he had called the homies. I guess he had called the neighborhood, called his brother Clever, and they were like, "Hey, you know, we're gonna do this, Kyle." So that's when, you know, started linking up with him, and he got to hear that song. You know, once we were chilling and right away he was like, "What the like, what you was doing?" Like, I'm like, "Well, we making music too. Like, you know what I mean? We're about to do this." He was like, "Nah, I'm with you guys. Like, you know, let me put you guys out." I was like, "That's what's up." But, you know, us and the homies were like, it was me, Travi, and Chino. We're like, we just looked at each other like, we on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, shout out my boy Tokes, man.
Quick question. No, did you know Tokes prior?
No.
Prior to that, no, because also he had did a really big, a really long bid, yeah.
I mean, he was stressed out. He had done a lot of time. You know, he's OG. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
big difference, big age difference.
Yeah, no, I know that he's from like probably
older generation.
That's what I was. He's probably one of the like first generations from your neighborhood, probably, huh?
Yeah, he's you know, when they started the hood. So,
can you tell me about your relationship with the other Thresh boys? And then how you guys got together? How you guys got together to make music is my big.
You know, we grew up together.
Yeah.
Well, Chino, had met him like this time I got out. He was out there in the neighborhood, and my boy linked up, and well, naturally, you know, paroled back to the neighborhood. So linked up. So, like I said, we're going to the studio already. Me and Travi were going to the studio because that's, you know, me and Travi grew up together. So eventually, me, Chico, and Travi did a song together. And like I said, out of nowhere, this fool disappeared. Chico, Tokes heard that song with Chico on it. So he's like, "Oh, what are you guys going to do with that dude? Like, who's that?" You know what I mean? It's like, "Oh, that's one of the homies," you know what I mean? And I think he got to meet him too. I don't even know what happened there. But we're like, "Hey, dude, like, this fool disappeared, you know? Like, this fool, we don't know what's up." Well, actually, no, you know what? At that time, he was still, we were still able to get a hold of him. But he something was going on with it. I don't know where he was not, like, trying to fuck the music no more. And we're like, "Hey, fool, what's up with this beat? Like, you know, what we going to do?" He's like, "Nah, you guys drop it. Like, I'm cool, you know? Like, I'll send you guys the beat." But he never did. So then we had to remake it. So if you hear the track, I have the original track here, but if you hear the track we did with Tokes, it's the remake beat. So sounded a little bit off, but we were like, okay, well, we have another homie, Chino. He was around me all the time. So, "Hey, Walker Rap too, what's up? Jump on this, replace this fool." And he replaced that fool. And
now, quick question, because fool, I did a graphic for you for the courtroom graphic. We won't say like everything because I know you're about to drop it, so you could save it for the thing. But you know the courtroom graphic that I shot you recently, and I seen a picture that you were busted. Did you rap before or after you were busted, fool? Like, was that what was the? Did you record before or after? Because that was that was young
like,
face
actually,
danger.
like record after. But we used to fuck around. Like, before, like,
Did you
fuck
used to
around.
bust the old school movies with the where you be able to like record through like a boombox or something?
All that. Exactly. All that. Exactly that, dog. Me and the homie Travi, we used to, put the boombox and just record, dog. Like I said, one of them you could put a instrumental, I guess, tape, and then in the other one you put the blank tape.
That's
So,
right, because you were saying about that you grew up with Travi, and then Chino was more around later.
Yeah, Chino came later. You know what I mean? Chino came later. But yeah, like that's how we started. But to actually record was later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then when you first recorded, dude, what studio did you go to? Do you remember your first actually putting your voice and like how it made like?
Yeah, right there at Chico's garage.
Oh,
Garage.
yeah.
He was the one that was doing the whole shebang, and then his brother was filming. So, he had just got out, and then right after that, he filmed the video right there in the hood. He's like, "Hey, fool, what's up? Like, let's do a video." You know what I mean? And I was like, "All right, for what?" He showed me a song called "Where the Homies At." Like, you could look it up, and then that fool, we recorded that shit in the hood. I had just got out, so I'm all covered up in that video, because I already knew. I'm like,
No, yeah, you don't want to violate parole.
Oh,
Yeah, I
exactly.
already
They were
know,
on that shit. They
federal.
were on that.
I already know.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then same thing for the first, videos of Tokes. You see me in there too, but I'm all covered up. You know what I mean? Because I was still on parole. Then a few months after, that's when I got out off parole. So.
You know what? Now that it makes sense, I do remember because I think the first time where you really see your face on camera was the first time the Thresh Boys are actually featured on a song, right?
Yeah. I didn't want to come out in the video.
Yeah.
I was right there, but covered up. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm straight.
Because that's when I do remember, because they had the first, when they were dropping like the Brownside, the resurgence, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I do remember all you fools were there, the group, but I don't remember seeing your face till it was an actual Thresh Boys song. Mm-hmm. So then Tokes is like, nah, I'm with you fools. And then what happens after that? You fools go straight into the album mode, to that first album that we hear?
Album mode. Straight album mode from there. He's like, that fool's got to finish this album. Let's do this.
Okay, so I have to ask, just because I know everybody's curious, but I need to know what those sessions were like, because I know a little bit of what those sessions were like.
Right.
Because of right. So I need to know how those sessions were, how those trips were.
It was lovely, dog. It was lovely. Actually, like me and Chino, when that started. He's like, man, if you guys want, you guys could chill right here, because he had a beach house in Rosarito, and he was like, if you guys want, you guys could chill right here and finish this album. As many days you guys need, do whatever the you guys got to do, and we'll go record. Because he had a studio in Playas de Tijuana. He's like, whenever you guys want to, like, ready to record, let's go. So it's like, dog, like, if we go back, to LA and shit, we're going to, take our time, do all this. Okay, you know what I mean? Let's just chill right here. Cool. We stood out there for like a few weeks, maybe a month. I don't even remember. Maybe a month. Me and Chino, we were right there every day, just, you know what I mean? Just writing, coming up with concepts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking titles to the tracks, hooks, and yeah, man. That's how we did it. Eventually, we'll get into the studio, and it was firme. We'll get that done, you know what I mean? So. The first songs, it was kind of like, you hear it. If I tell you what songs we recorded in the process, you hear it. You hear the difference. You know what I mean? We were kind of like...
From like the first ones to the ones that were later in the album recording.
Yeah, so,
So that first, low-key, you got off on that first one. I just remember you said, got some homies, some straight mercenarios. I remember that first... first verse, dog. How can you explain how that recording process, and was that in the beginning? Because now that you say that, it makes me curious. Was that earlier, that first song that we hear? Because obviously, fool, you were the standout from then. I'm gonna just be honest, you were the standout since then, and everybody.
We homies just doing our thing. You know what I'm saying, so we gotta, just try to represent as best as we can and storytell, and
at the end of the day,
it's art. So.
Was
just
that
comes
be
down to-
early? Was that early in the recording process, or was that later?
No, it was like maybe like the second or third song we recorded. The first one was actually, we finished the song we had just did with Chico, which was
Yeah, the one you were just.
That's a Boy Stay Active.
Yeah.
So that one, that's the first one we actually did, and then, it just went from there. Then the ones we dropped in the video, just like that, how we dropped them, that's how we recorded them. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say if Chico would have stood around, he probably would have been a Thresh boy as well?
Yeah, that's how the whole started with
Yeah,
Chico. That's
yeah.
how, I have graphics with, the first Thresh boys with
And
him
it was
in there.
him in it?
Yeah. you know what I'm
That's
saying?
crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, exclusive. Cut that. Porfa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah.
No, that's.
What happened to the,
Nah,
wherever
definitely.
he's at, hopefully, he's firme.
Nah, for sure.
Positive vibes. That's it.
So then, can you tell me about your relationship with Tokes?
Yeah, well, we hit it off. You know what I mean? Like we hit it off. He f- with the same shit. He f- with the style, with the flow, with the just I guess the creativity, because we just wait for let's select the beats. All right, f- this one, f- this. All right, cool. You know what I mean? Try to freestyle some shit. How most of the try to write them. Try to create a concept. Trying to first fill it out, freestyle some. And if something catchy comes off, then we might hold off and be like, all right, fool, let's try to keep that. All right, cool. That song, go to the next one. You know what I mean? Then we just come back. You know what I mean? It just depends. Some we might just finish it right there and then. But some of them, you just want to stay in that creative mode and try to see if you could just create a concept. Well, that's how we were doing our shit. We're not rappers, you know what I mean? We're just trying to what's going to be, what lyrics do you hear to this beat? Oh, it's homie. Like, nah. Like, it has to be that, And this is the time before you seen all the homies start going to viral, all of a sudden, all the homies popping off, So,
yeah. You know what though? I gotta give it to you guys, and especially Toker, rest in peace. Even though you guys don't feel like you guys are rappers, you fools are rappers, first of all. You guys are very skilled in what you do. But the concepts, even you guys kept with great, amazing concepts, even if you may not think it. Like, the whole Thresh Boys album was a great concept.
It was a success actually, and we got a lot of streams from that, a lot of views. It was good, and so that was a good achievement, because I kept telling the homies that, like, trust, just trust the process, trust what we about to do, like, just we need streets, like the streets need, like, nobody was really kicking like that. I mean, everybody had kind of like gave up because of the whole crash that I guess Chicano rap had, and after 2009 and up, you know what I mean? That shit started going down. You know what I mean? People were not really dropping shit.
Yeah.
When I got out, it was really...
Where it was in that weird, weird middle ground.
I mean,
yeah.
because you had the same artist for the past fucking 20 years or 10 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? These vatos are on the same shit. And now they're making features with hip hop artists, and they believe that's their fucking accolade. They believe now that's a huge achievement, and that's it. Like, and it was not being reciprocated right by the people. You know what I mean? Because the people, how our people are, especially Raza, the most fucking judgmental people there is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can never be right with them. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. But especially when it comes to this music shit, it's very tricky, dog, how we've been able to stay obviously afloat, but at the same time maneuver where, like, our people are trying to make bread off of this, and you got those that are, they're being successful and making it happen, because at the end of the day, that's what you want to do off of this, right? It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to pay your bills. You want to be able to, sustain your lifestyle with this shit. It's art that at the end of the day, you got to see that. So you're right when you said that. At one point in time, we had to come to that realization and, just, hey, homie, well, what is it? Yeah, all right, Fido, man. We're not no fucking rappers. We didn't start as rappers. But you know what? Like, it's not so much about staying in in a state where you're stuck, and because especially because people are gonna hold you back, or what they gonna say. Like my boy, like we don't follow trends, dog. We set these motherfuckers. I mean, like we here to share our stories and
Mm-hmm.
paint them as vividly as we could, put them out there, and whoever fucks with it, cool. If not, guess what? Hey, my boy, you don't live this lifestyle. You can't relate, my boy. Like, give it up to you out those if you out those doing your family thing and whatnot. But like, homie, some of us is still out here, dog, trying to make something happen bigger than what it is. You know what I mean? Not just for ourselves, but for generations to come, for our people. You know what I mean? So we could be well grounded and have that lane that we fucking desperately need. You know what I'm saying? So
When I view that, that's very beautifully put. First of all, and I totally agree when it comes to that. As far as like, just piggybacking on what you said, I think we do need to start seeing that as far as our people, and we need to start seeing that we are the art and the intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? And to see somebody up there and like doing their things and not doing it illegally, it's almost like seeing a how can I say? There's an analogy back in the day. There's not there has to be ethnic, like the black Superman thing, you know what I'm saying? But I call it the Mexican Superman thing,
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? You never seen a Mexican Superman, you know what I mean? But we need to see that.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
We
And
just need to, I guess, like do our thing without trying to compare ourselves with nobody, dog. Because at the end of the day, we're our own fucking peoples. You know what I mean? We're about to be the next biggest fucking ethnicity, fucking in the next fucking decade. You know what I mean? Our numbers are fucking multiplying. We're about to be the next biggest economic power there is. And our people don't even know this yet. Our people are the most hardworking people. And at the end of the week, they're trying to spend that bread. You know what I'm saying? As soon as they get paid, they're trying to consume. They're trying to consume. Number one consumers in the world. Feed them, man. Cool. Let's give them something to consume. You know what I'm saying? But again, without trying to put ourselves in a category with other peoples, because then that's kind of like cutting ourselves short. You know what
also not selling fairy tales.
You know what I'm saying? That, you know what I mean? Gotta give it to them what it is. But at the end of the day, like, I tell you one thing, in the future you will have little kids where you ask them, hey, who you look up to? Who you want to be like? And they're going to tell you. It's going to be some raza dude. They're going to tell you, I want to be like this fool.
Yeah.
Because if you ask them right now, they're going to tell you a whole different thing.
A whole other list
Because
of things.
their influence, you hear it with it, the young homies' music and most music, right, even right now within our peoples, they're influenced, by other culture, which is freedom, I guess. But like, again, dog, like, we gotta create that for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Without trying to be accepted or without trying to fit in.
Can I ask? Do you think that the impact of what you guys were starting in with the Thresh Boys, we could feel it a little bit now here, like now in the present now, where we have people that are a little bit rappers and entertainers that are a little bit more prouder to be where they're from,
Right.
prouder to say their neighborhoods, prouder to be like they're Mexican. Like one of my favorite rappers right now, honestly, and then he passed away recently. Rest in peace, Dumper from Westside Lennox. The homie, the homie Sucker Free.
Yeah.
The homie Sucker Free. That was a good homie right there. But do you think that he just comes to mind because that's probably the one who like he just stands out being like who he is? He don't have to, certain ones they don't have to stand, they don't have to do nothing, just be
themselves.
unapologetically themselves, and that's how I think you guys started off.
That's what you gotta do, man. For it's just like, dog, everybody's gonna relate.
Do you
At the
feel
end of the
that-
day, that's where the same peoples. You know what I mean?
I definitely think you were on that trend before. Do you think it's starting to come out a little bit more now, where it's less gimmicky and a little bit more real to our peoples?
Well, like, you're seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're seeing it. I mean, like you said, the homie, rest in peace and shit. Tragic ending right there. But like, yeah, you're seeing it. It's just coming out naturally, and that's the beauty of this social media and these platforms that give the power, to just say, dog, do your thing. You know what I mean? So that's what you want to do, expose your life and expose yourself and, be you on camera. Cool, go ahead. I mean, you're seeing people fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? They want to see that. Why? Because we rare, my boy. You know what I'm saying? We come from that culture, like, where you can't really be out there. You know what I'm saying? You can't really, you can't say you're not. It's not about really. It's like you can't. You know what I'm saying? You can't. So it's a very thin line, of especially with this rap shit. If we come from the culture, we come from the streets, how you maneuver that, because right away, you know what I mean? They try, is this rapper, but then at the same time, if you cross that line or you do, well, look, you know what I mean? This vato, you know what I mean? So as homies, you gotta obviously be aware and know what it is. But at the same time, that's what we need, I guess, right now, just to be able to set and establish everything right, because it's freedom, everybody's doing their thing and everything, but like we need to have that unity amongst the homies, really have that unity, especially with the entertainment world, and help push each other up. And, no matter what, when it comes to the music and creating art, then that space needs to, be respected and just like it's business, my boy, you know what I mean? You need to be able to really take this shit further than what it is, instead of, the ego and the pride is what's holding shit back. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to do, just push that, you know what I mean? Salute to the homies, that are the homies that are, collabing and doing their thing, and to all the ones that are just pushing the music. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we got to do. And the ones that are out there, homies, encourage the homies to, keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. Push them, dog, push them, you know what I mean? That's what we need.
How do you feel about the state of that right now? Do you think that we're as unified as we can be, or do you still think that?
Obviously, you see all this bullshit. It's happening even in the streets. Or what happened, especially with the homie. All kind of shit. But still, then they revolve to that. It revolves to this bullshit. So it's like, how do you separate that bullshit from really what it is? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, we're all man, dog. Everybody bleeds the same. It's not about that. It's about, like, using the brain and, really seeing the future. You know what I mean? Because obviously for many people right now, the motherfucking life right now, or their current being or position is not so good, dog, so they're ready to crash out. You know what I mean? But so you got to hang in there, my boy, Don't lose patience. And keep working, dog. Keep working. Keep pushing.
Yeah, I think R.I.P. Nip, his death anniversary was recently. It's definitely not a race; it's a marathon.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But as homies, we gotta make sure we just like in there.
Yeah.
One, and push the shit on that level. It's over. It's over. We do the same shit we do in there. Out here within the entertainment world and all this shit within business, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that part. I think we should be. I think it's starting to come around a little bit more now. As like we're starting to realize that we are, even though like we might think we're the big, the bigger majority. Not in the. We're the minority in the entertainment world. Exactly. So we need.
It's already controlled.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Because it's controlled. You know what I mean? So, but numbers-wise, when it comes to numbers, like, as far as in people's, I'm not gonna say as far as the talent and all this shit. Obviously, still a lot more shit to come. But yeah, numbers, we got them. But yeah, definitely, dog, we gotta make our way in the industry and have those people in position. That way, where people could have, a fair one. You know what I mean?
And I think going back into a little bit of your story, I think that's where you were starting that. And it kind of goes into where I'm going to ask you because, unfortunately we have,
Can I borrow that light?
Oh, yeah, of course. We have like, after that we have, the Thresh boys, then we have the Brownside stuff going on. And then unfortunately, we have the passing of Toker.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Can you speak on that, or do you want to speak on that? I know I really don't want to, on just his passing and how it affected the music going on after. Because I know there was a little bit of a break after, his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just because I know, because Eykon's like a brother to me.
I respect, for the homie. in the family, there was a break, because at the end of the day, like coming in, like we didn't come in this shit like looking at it as what it turned out to be. Nobody expected that. So it didn't change us though. It didn't change nothing. It didn't change the fact of what it was, which to a degree, should have taken it more serious and like looked at, the numbers for what they were. But, coming from, like I said, the culture and the way we come, already laced, like, hey, dog, we're not fucking rappers, dog, we're gangsters. So it did hit home. We just lost, the main homie, dog, that was, responsible for this whole shit. It's the reason I'm even here right now. You know what I mean? And it's like even speaking with you right now is because of him. You know what I mean? And anything that has to do with music or even right now, currently in my life, like to this point, because everything has been around music since. So, it's thanks to the homie, he's given that platform. So that shit hit home, dog. Like, fuck, like what we gonna do now, like that was our superstar right there. You know what I mean? We didn't look at ourselves like that so much. Like, yeah, we had talented people around us and all this, and we were coming out, we're doing numbers, and he was tripping out on that, like, damn, fools are making numbers, and y'all fools ain't worried about the next project. Like, you talking about, fuck, put the next people on, put this next person on, do this. Yeah, fool, because I'm thinking as a company-wise, like, you need to do this, you need to, we're living in the branding era. Like, I already had saw that since, knit. So I was like, dog, this is what you need to do. Like, study this vato right here. And I don't know, if you've seen what's the deal right now, but I'm going to tell you, look, free game. Study this vato right here. That's it. Especially what you're doing and everything. This is the one right here. You know what I'm saying? Then this is the same shit you got. If maybe not bigger. Because he did it with 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? He demonstrated the world that he did it with 1,000 people. Paid $100 to tape. You could do this shit. Same shit, bigger. He was big on like not copying people or, following or following trends and shit. So he's like, nah, we gotta do it our own way. How we gonna do it? I know a way, dog. Create an app.
Yeah,
Get
I
away
remember.
from all
That's
the
what I was
bullshit.
about to ask.
Get rid of fucking, all these platforms. Fuck them platforms. This is how we create our own BET. This is how we create our own fucking or real platform for the people. But you already have it, dog. You have the platform to do this. So, we're just going to have to grind hard and direct everybody that way. So
I remember you guys were definitely before his passing. I know you guys were in the inception of the app. It was before it even launched. I think you guys did a soft launch right before his passing. No,
it was 3 days away.
Right. I remember that it was right. We were about to do the launch of it.
3 days away from launching that.
Now, before we get into that, what I have to ask, just because first of all, I'm very intrigued in your business mind. You know what I'm saying? Because even we had a conversation earlier while grabbing coffee. You're like, it gave me an idea. Remember? Yeah, you were outside the spot. You're like, you gave me an idea. Have you always been very business oriented? Have you always been good with numbers?
No, I ain't gonna say good with numbers, but like, I've just been since the streets, dog. I've been in the streets since a little kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little kid. I was slanging crack since 12 years old I started, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this was...
Eventually, like I said, I got locked up, so, but yeah, dog, I've been...
You're like me, you're the last of the crack era?
Yeah, type shit.
Yeah.
Type shit. Yeah, my times, it was, still crack. Crack was still popping.
Yeah, when I was a kid, they were still smoking big Primos.
Yeah, but yeah, just been in the streets forever hustling. So,
and because you have really an impeccable knowledge on branding. Because even then, because I was about to ask you about the app. So where did you learn more about branding before we get into the Toker thing? Because now you brought up a bunch of different things with the app, and I was about to ask you because that was a lot of your brainchild, right? The app, it was like almost your baby, but it was like off of your brainchild.
I was just helping the homie, like I said, like I remember telling the homie, like, hey dog, like, I don't know what terms to put it to you, because you're the OG homie and shit, but like, to me, you got the baddest bitch on Figueroa right now. Palabra, dog. I was like, dog, you got the baddest bitch on Figueroa, boy. and you don't know what to do with her, dog. Like, what you mean, dog? It's like, the homie tripping, dog. Like, what you mean, fool? And I'm like, my boy, like, fool, you don't know the impact you have on the culture, fool.
Mm-hmm.
You thinking, yeah, the homies, all right, that's feeder man, cool. But don't get stuck like just, the homies, the talent, like, you could expand from that. You know what I mean? You could fucking tap into our genres. You know what I mean? You could be, like I said, the next BET. Your brand could be the next BET. You know what I mean? You just need to take it there. That's how I see it. But first, you need to cut off all these other fucking platforms. Take them directly to yours, and that's it.
Cut off the middleman so you could be the direct source.
Snip shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But not taking the steps he did, just doing it our way. You know what I'm saying? So that, you know what I mean? You're seeing the shift that had happened culturally within music and the business model of what it was to make bread, right? And they showed you, and like I said, like that was my plan to get out and make music. So I was already like, how am I gonna do this? You know what I mean? And it just happens to be that I came across somebody's music that was from the area, and I fuck with it. You know what I mean? Especially the business side of it. The obviously the G shit, cool, but the hustling shit. You know what I mean? That shit was like, it just spoke to me. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, when you live that shit and that's what you do, like, it's just like, I don't know, dog, like, I guess, the shit that just gets you going and pumps you up, and that's what you bump every day, working out in there, whatever the fuck you're doing, you know what I mean? But that's what it was, and started, obviously, following through IG, in there, you have ways of, of accessing the internet and shit, and navigating through social media, so, like, I was heavy on that, and, obviously followed that and seen the whole process of how he went from about to release a project and then went back on it and said, now, you know what, I have an idea based off of a book he read. And, in there, that's all I did, read, So off of a book he read, got an idea, and now he was going to implement it, and see what happened. And it was a success, dog. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, we could do this shit, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to the future. No. And I was like, oh, shit, fool, look. This perfect for what we got going on. This blueprint right here is perfect. Because, you don't know, like, what the fuck to do. Just drop music, seeing all these numbers and all this shit. But at the same time, it's like, how do you make those views and all that shit make actual money?
Mm-hmm. How to monetize it.
Real money.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, that's a lot of people. That's a lot. But how do we, cool, the clothing's feeder, man, all right, cool. But how do we do it on a bigger scale? But obviously you can't, because it tells you on the user agreements of these platforms. You know what I mean? Like, that's their platform. You're giving them the license basically for them to use it.
Yeah.
So they're going to fucking cut the check how they see fit. You know what I'm saying? You're just going to get cents.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't never going to know that. So
you get a fraction of a cent on the millions of dollars they make.
You don't have no idea
see, that's crazy.
Where it really is, right? So that's like, how can we go further than that? And you just got to always, I guess, follow the money, how they say, you got to follow the money and really get to
Dog, that's a theme that I think is underrated too. Real quick, that was a gem that he just dropped on you. Follow the money, because the money's going to tell you where the play's at. That's where there's going to tell you that the play's at. And dog, I got to commend you on just like how that was, now that we're speaking about the app and like its inception, like you were saying, one thing that I got to definitely commend you on, bro, you were just, you were on the right track, but I think, unfortunately with the things that happened that like, it threw everything into a spin, but you were on the early stages of like Patreon, fool. That
Universe Star had other plans.
Yeah.
Hold up, play. You ain't going to have this easy.
Yeah, no.
Go through a lot of shit, you know what I mean?
What you're just
instantly, like right there, that would have been instantly like start. We were gonna be on some other shit, but at the same time,
because what you're describing is a Patreon where you get special content. You know what I'm saying?
This was before OnlyFans. This was before all that.
That's what I'm saying.
This was before any podcast was even airing out. Toker was already doing podcasts without even calling it a podcast.
His lives, his legendary lives.
He didn't have people yet on his shit like that, you know, aside from a few people that were there around him or us. But he didn't have no host yet. I mean, he was the one hosting, but he didn't have no guest. And that's where we're going towards.
Yeah.
Look, dog, instead of you just start bringing people in, start bringing in artists, start playing their shit. You know what I'm saying? All the shit that all these fools started doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's some shit that we talked about live, and people, I guess, heard and they implemented it on themselves, which feedback. I mean, you gotta get the game from somewhere, dog. You know what I mean? And put that
life be lifing, perro.
Exactly. You gotta put that shit to use. So gotta, you know, can't hate on that either. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in the game, like that's feedback. You know, that's, I guess, you know, gotta, like you said, gotta be a student at the game, dog. So
no, I think life just life for you guys, but you guys were in the early inceptions of all the subscription based shit.
Yeah, you know. Like you said, you know, shots of the plant, dog. So
what, you know, rest in peace to the homie, obviously. Before we move on, because right now that you said about his lives, he had some wild, legendary lives. What is one of the greatest moments you have with Tokes, dog? I gotta ask.
Recording, you know, just recording.
What's one that stands out?
Just recording, like the one that stands out for me, like. That was just random one. Was the one that we did with Sad Boy, Conectados. Because we were in a trip in Cabos and shit, and we had just literally landed back to fucking TJ, and we went to the studio that day. Later on that day, we went to the studio, right? So I thought we were just gonna land, but when we had to go, he had to do something that he had to fucking drop ASAP, but he had to fix something. It was gonna be quick. Cool. We pulled up to the studio, and while we pulled up to the studio, Sadboy hits me up and he's like, "Hey, where you at?" You know what I mean? Like, well, I'm not around. Like, you know, I'm teaching. He's like, "Oh fuck, I was gonna be fucking what he said over there in the Universal Studio at the Sony recording studio, somewhere out there. I forgot exactly where, but he's like, I was gonna pull up. I was gonna tell you, Kylie, you know, I have a session. You know, I need you on a song." And I was like, "I'm not around, but send the beat. Let me hear it." You know what I mean? He sent it over and you know, like I said, in the process, you know, he was recording a song with Little Tokes. And he was fixing something on it. I forgot what it was. I can't really recall. Because at the time, you know, I'm right there chopping it up with Sad Boy, going back and forth with him. And we're in the studio by now, and, you know, he's doing his thing. And my phone had died, so I had to charge it. And since we're at the studio already, and he sent the beat over, right away, I even showed Tokes. I'm like, "Look, fool, homie, get in at me. You know, I'm a you know, write something to this real quick. I'm gonna just try to record." He's like, he told the engineer, hey, we're done with that song. He was like, "Hey, that song's done. Like, put this beat on." He's like, "We're gonna record this shit right now." And we you know, I wrote that shit right there with him on the spot, and we recorded. And yeah, he even helped me out with like 2 lines and shit, because I was stuck. I remember, like, on the Twin Tower part, and you know, he was giving me ideas and shit. And yeah, dog, recorded that shit, send it right back to Sad Boy. By the time we went home, Sad Boy was live, and he was bumping that shit in the background. You know what I mean?
That's
fire.
with
this shit. You know what I mean? I fuck with this shit right here. This
that's fire.
Like, oh shit, that's what's up, dog. You know what I mean? But yeah, that shit was a trip.
Hell yeah, that's fire. You know what's one thing, you know, I never got the pleasure of meeting the homie, Toker, but I just have to commend him. Like, one thing I always love seeing about him is just his love of, like, community. He wasn't just about himself.
No. He was
because, like, especially, like, you know, he made you feel like, you know what I'm saying? And I always get stories from Eyekon that it was like, nah, he would drop everything he's doing to make sure that you're taken care of. Like, and that, you know, you don't find that, especially where we grow up, especially where we come from.
Especially our culture.
Exactly. You don't never find, you know, people of that nature, dog, and that just speaks volumes also into the person that it made you out to be as well, because obviously, you know, you grow through stages in life, and not, you know, I'm pretty sure after his passing, you've done some growing as well.
Right.
So but you can also see just like how you treat people as well, how that transcends into you, dog. So, hey, dog, rest in peace, Toker.
wouldn't be here right now, dog. Like I said, without him, dog. Rest in peace, my
Hey,
Toker,
can I
dog.
can I can I ask you something before we get in? Because now you got. Can I get an official Thresh Boyz interview with Chino with Chino on the phone?
We'll just make it happen, dog. We'll make it happen, dog. You know what I mean?
Because I need
call
to ask
fucking-
questions with you fools all together at least. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
get Chino on the phone or something.
Yeah, nah, for sure. Dog.
Because
I'll call the homie,
you
I'll
know,
call the little
'cause-
homie Travi, dog. You know, hey, Kyle, you know what I mean? We'll do
Yeah.
do a little reunion, my boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because like this one's about you, and I really want to highlight you, but
Yeah.
I think also that story needs to be told. You know what I'm saying? Like more in depth.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. So going on, Toker unfortunately passes. Look it up if you guys are interested. Rest in peace to the homie. Then you take a little hiatus. As you said, there was like 3 days away from the app being launched, and you take a little bit of a hiatus from music, right?
Yeah, we like I said, everybody was from the morning state, and so we didn't come from the rap shit. So we're like, man, like we gotta,
Gather our thoughts and regroup.
yeah, like just we could keep dropping music, but it just didn't seem the right thing to do, and then especially like since we seen all the love all of a sudden, all these magazines, all these blogs, all these fucking people started giving them. And while he started doing his shit and he came back, none of these fucking spots or these blogs or these magazines or none of these fucking platforms, dog, gave him, his flowers. They waited for him to be dead, and all of a sudden, homie, they was giving it up to him, They was like, fuck, dog, I wish my homie would have seen this, when he was alive, dog. It took him to, pass away to, now all of a sudden, everybody's mentioning him and shit. So I was like, nah, you know what, like, I don't know, dog. We don't want to be like that, We don't want to fucking profit off of that. Like, we'll feel like, oh shit, we're trying to profit off the homie's death, Like, nah, homie, like.
I know that was a big thing for the homie Eyekon that he didn't want to
Yeah.
seem like he was profiting, he just scrapped the whole project.
It was a whole thing, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, and it was a whole thing, dog. Where everybody, it was just, but at the same time, like somewhere, like, what's up, what we doing, But it was just. Like I said, you don't know what to do in certain situations like that. Life just throws things at you, and you don't know what to do. So you gotta just try to figure it out. You know what I mean? But yeah. So,
So I know that you took a little bit of a hiatus. I know you started your label, right?
Yeah, I ended up, eventually doing my shit because, we're trying to, again, after a good while, like, all right, so what we doing? I mean, what we doing? All right, cool. Or like, it's that time. Like, all right, cool. Let's do some shit. I mean, the only way to keep honoring the homie and keep his legacy going is by keep doing this shit. I mean, like, that's the only thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, everything we do was gonna reflect back on him. You know what I mean? Just like how, to the point when he was doing music, everything that he did was still reflecting back on Eazy, because he was always, giving it back. Giving it up.
Giving it up to him.
Giving it up. You know what I mean? Appreciate you, you know what I mean? Like, love. You know what I mean? That was love. I mean, he put him on.
He changed his life.
Yeah, dog, put him on. So, can't forget that. So, same way, like I said, you can't, just forget, obviously, like, who was the reason of where you're at. But it comes down to you, too, you got to put in the work and do the shit. So, it was like, damn, dog, what we doing? We sleeping on this shit, like, let's do this shit, like, you know what I mean? Okay, like, what would the homie want? He would want us to do this shit, you know what I mean? So, let's do this. So, but by then, like, you didn't see that motivation or that really, like, that drive from people, because at the end of the day, he's the one that makes sure, shit got done. I mean,
He was the fire. He was everything.
He was on your ass. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to meet the deadline. All right, fuck it. Boom. I'm going to jump on it. That's why you have a lot of songs where he's on it. You know what I'm saying? And this was not on it. This.
Yeah.
Because he's like, man, man, fuck that. Boom.
Yeah, we
Boom,
not
boom.
bullshitting.
Like,
We getting it done.
Skip. Get it done. Next. Cool. But, yeah, that was his thing. Just work. Do this. We're on time, dog. You know what I mean? So he liked that. The work ethic on people. So yeah, man. But it was just different, though. It was different. Trying to get this shit up and running again, and like I said, just for people to be on the same page and just overall, agree with what the new, direction of this is gonna go.
Yeah.
What was it? You know what I mean? Because before it was him, he was the main center of, like, okay, we're gonna do this based off. We're just, in the background. Cool, yeah, we're making numbers on the side. Cool, we're gonna keep it up. Don't trip. We're gonna keep that up. Don't trip. We got you, dog. You know what I mean? But
Put us in the game, coach. We're good.
yeah, you the main star, dog. You know what I mean? You the one, dog. Like shit.
Yeah.
Like keep doing your thing, dog. Like just keep doing what you're doing. Repeat, like Nip said. Just repeat, 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 repeat. I'm saying that. That's what he was doing. You see, he was doing shows every day, live shows, live shows. He was doing it. He was doing it. But
what really brings you to start your label and start making music again after his death?
well, the whole concept of the app of putting people on. So that's what we did. Right after we did launched hood exclusives on Brownside on the channel, and we started, putting foods on from different sections. You know what I mean? And I initially wanted to start in South Central because we got a lot of love, dog. From the city, even though obviously those hood barriers that are there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
ego and that pride, and you know what I'm saying, like you said, that machismo, I guess, and just overall that hood culture. So, but it was there. I mean, so it was hard to not to ignore. So it was like, hey, dog, like we gotta start here. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to tap in everywhere else. That's easy. You know what I mean? Like that's a given already. Everybody fucks with the brand, but like for the city to fuck with it, you know what I mean? That's more different. You know what I mean? That's more impactful. Who can you say has done that, or who can you say is doing that on the nip level, right? Again, not trying to compare that, but on that business side, on that branding side of shit. And when then it comes to like the branding side of shit and the business, the business model of, what Feedman shit is that, you know what I mean? Like you said, cut the middleman off all the way, direct to consumer, dog, and do this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, that shit's beautiful right there. So that was the whole, like I said, the model and blueprint we're trying to really go off of. And
Thank you.
one only could, just keep going, dog. That's all I could keep going, just fuck it. The homie, all right, fuck it, just keep putting on. But it wasn't not the same. You know what I mean? So it was just like, fuck, I'm trying to, do all this, do this with these artists. We got a gang of music that's coming in. A lot of people are reaching out. So it's like, damn, what do we do with them? Like, right here's Feed 'em as a platform that's already there, and it'll be easy to just push them out. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's a win-win situation. I mean, the brand is getting exposed. But aside from that, like, just think of the cultural impact that we're about to have within the city. And it started happening because now you had different sections rocking the brand as opposed to before. Chales can't rock that. Why? Because that's them fools right there from Thresh. You know what I'm saying? So automatically that brand will get, you know what I mean,
associated to something.
to the hood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right away. So it was a big thing. We gotta get over that right there. And the only way to do that is by making sure that everybody else is rocking it. And everybody else, I mean, all these upcoming artists.
Yup.
And there's a lot of them. They're right there in the trenches. Just got to go and get them and find out who's the ones and put them on. You know what I mean? So luckily, like I said, the homies reciprocated, the love, dog, within the music, and, understood the realness. And it was easy to just reach out and be like, here's the spotlight, my boy. You want it? Well, for reals? Like, yeah, homie, take over. Like, shine, homie, shine. I ain't trying to be shining, dog. Too much shine, homie, gets, eyes on you, dog. So, gotta, know when to step back and chill, you know what I mean? And shine, homie, shine. Let everybody shine. It's right there. I mean, you need this shit to be like a TV show, homie, 24/7 type shit.
Yeah.
I mean, non-stop content. How do you do that? Open the doors. welcome everybody. Like I told the homie, you're the OG dog. You know what I mean? You're the OG of the game, of this rap shit. So you embrace people, they gonna fuck with it. I mean, they gonna be like, that's love, appreciate it, and they gonna keep this shit ever living even bigger, dog. So so that's what's the whole thing. So I had to keep that shit going. Why? Because by now these dudes are there. I'm saying they're there. Boom. We already have told them, hey, we're gonna, have a platform from you guys. This hood exclusive shit. This is what we're dropping. So I had to, all right, fuck, do something else because it was like, okay, like, it's at a standstill. Like, it was a lot of just waiting. So we're like, man, we need to drop this shit. I mean, we need to drop this shit. So I had to start my own shit. Like, you know what? Let me just, if it's that, like, you don't want to, just,
let me,
like,
let me do my
with
thing.
any headaches or anything like that, because I understand it's a lot of headaches, a lot of, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of this shit, it's a lot of work. So I understand it's a lot of headaches. So cool, I'll deal with the headaches. I'll do this, and we just try to put them on. But at the end of the day, now I talk to the homies, right, the fools that we put it on, and I'm like, dog, if we're gonna do this shit, then obviously you guys gotta understand there's money involved. So we gotta, talk about percentages. You know what I'm saying? So let's just figure this shit out. Hopefully, one day somebody makes it, dog, and you know what I mean? That shit will make a lot more sense than what it's gonna be. But just understand that we're on a ride of our lives, homie, because we're still at a position where we need to still get out of and grow, our market, I guess, if you want to say, grow this market to another level and bring it to that level that it needs to be. So one, like I said, could be profiting and being successful off of this shit on the level of these hip hop artists. You know what I mean? Why? Because at the end of the day, you have all these platforms and that potential and that probability of you making it, it's there, right? But it just comes down to, like I said, us putting in that work.
Was it a plan for you to be the first artist on your label, or was it for other? Because you played me some stuff in the car, which fucking shout out to the homie that's busted. He has great music.
He was already getting put out through the exclusives. So a lot of the artists that I was already working with through that. Then I was like, you know what? Since we're
just got a little my stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was, it was just easy transition, but. At the end of the day, like, the homies just need that guidance. That studio time. That, you know what I mean? And just the plugs to record and to film and,
all the incidentals, I guess, as they would call it, right? Was it your plan for you to be the first artist or for somebody else to be the first artist? Because I know that, like, sometimes that might, as from my story, it may not be our first idea to be the main artist and we just want to be out. But was it, because I know you've been working on some stuff recently, which I want to get into, was it always, was it your idea to be the first artist so you could get this shit off the ground again?
Yeah, basically, like, you need somebody to get this shit off the ground. Yes, organically too, with the other talent, that's organic off the back. So it's like, all right, come on, push all together as one. Why? Because at the end of the day, there's some traction there, right? So it's like, use that as a little traction to potentially get these going. You know what I mean? Just like the stocks, my boy. You got the stocks, fuck in the SP already, then you got the penny stocks.
Even
same thing, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, come on, boom.
Even if we break it down like on a less of a molecular level, I guess, more like on a basketball level. You know what I'm saying? Basketball level, you're kind of the star player, and you're using what you got right now, and you gotta build the team, and that way you can build up your point guards, build up your centers, and build up everybody else, so you can eventually be a strong team.
Yeah, exactly.
So right now they're just putting you. All right, I gotta ask you, just because my tocayo's here in the room. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
How'd you end up with this? Because he's shout out to my tocayo, by the way. He's the reason.
Yeah, that's the only reason we're here too right
that's
now.
what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? You got key players in the game, dog, that are.
So how you end up with my crazy tocayo over here?
I'm telling you again, through the music, my boy, through the music.
Yeah.
Through the music, huh? Yeah, basically, huh? Through the music.
And then you figured out, you're like, oh, you're cool, huh? Yeah, let's throw it out. All right.
Like when you just, connect the energies, I guess, and just certain people you vibe with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Artists,
no.
artists, but yeah, no. Yeah, but yeah, right now that's the reason we here, dog. You know,
Yeah,
the homie made
no,
it
shout
happen,
out my
dog. The
tocayo.
homie made it happen, dog.
You
Shout
know
out
what
the
I'm
homie.
saying? The other Dodger. If you know,
Yeah.
you know. The
You know,
other
you know.
Dodger, Holmes.
That's the reason we made it happen.
Yeah,
Shout out
no,
Infinite
big shout out to
22.
my dog.
Yeah, shout out Infinite 22.
He shout out
You know?
Infinite
Making it
22.
happen, dog. Fucking-
Oh, now going into the new stuff, what have you been working on? Because I know that's one of the biggest reasons why we're here. I want to know because I've been listening to little stuff here and there from you. So what's going on with the new stuff?
Well, again, you know, thanks to Infinite 22,
Shout out
INR,
Infinite
you know,
22.
fucking D making this shit happen, dog. Fucking just, you know, brought me back into the booth, basically, dog. Hey, come on, let's drop some shit. Got the studio, got all this shit. Let's do this.
And we're here, you know what I mean?
All right, cool. I mean, like, I just want to record, dog. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, not trying to do all this other shit. We could do some shit. You know what I mean? Let's do it. Makes sense. You know what I mean?
I know you got a single that just dropped, Plead the Fifth, right?
Yeah.
So can you...
The Fed just dropped, dog. We just dropped it like 2-3 weeks ago, right? So yeah.
Make sure you guys go stream
2-3
Plead the
weeks ago,
Fifth.
Drop this, Plead the Fifth. It's out everywhere. You know, go stream that.
And then I know you're working on a project. Do you want to drop the name on? Do you want to drop the name or not?
Yeah. We're about to call this shit Hood Race. We're dropping the whole project. You know what I mean? And you know, we about to, you know, drop a few singles and then, you know, drop these videos and I mean, give them the whole thing, dog, and expect more music. You know what I'm saying? Like, expect a lot more music. Like, that's just, you know, we're just getting started right now.
Yeah, no, I heard a bunch of stuff. It was dope as hell. I can't wait for you to drop. I worked a little bit on the cover art to Hood Raised. I'm definitely excited for you to.
I didn't even know that. Was, you know, that was news when we got here earlier. Like, that's what's up.
Yeah, no.
Oh, we got secret weapons everywhere, huh?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's
what's up, dog.
That's the homie I know a guy. You know what I'm saying? That's the homie I know a guy.
That's why you should make it happen.
You know what I'm saying? He may not do it, but you know what? I know a guy, perro.
Make it happen.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, dog, I'm really excited. Not only for like what you have to come, but also the talent that you're curating around you. And honestly, what I'm interested in more, just from on a business standpoint, is I'm waiting to see how you market everything and how you fools hit it with everything now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you do have really good secret weapons. The homie was playing me some shit in the car. Free the homie that's locked up.
Free murder.
You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you, that shit was on another level. Stuff that on the singing, the rapping, it's a whole nother level, bro. And once again, I definitely gotta commend you and just where you come from, bro. And like you said too, dog, you know, unfortunately Tokes didn't get his flowers when he was here. Right. And that's kind of like why I started this platform myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I want to sit down with fools that I'm a fan of, you know what I'm saying? And fools that I appreciate, you know, the contributions that they have to the culture and whatever it is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, appreciate that.
So dog, like I definitely commend you in like your business mind and definitely trying to put our people on to different methods of life, you know what I'm saying, and showing us that there's a different way, because a lot of the stuff that you guys were doing, as I mentioned before, was trend setting, but it's just, you know, sometimes we don't have the right tools to make things happen, you know what I'm saying? Because honestly, in my opinion, the app was in the early basis of the Patreons, the OnlyFans, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You
subscription-based model.
Exactly, dog. And I know that probably came.
That shit means a lot. You know, it's really worth, you know, a lot, dog.
Yeah.
It's really worth, you know, like it's bigger than, you know, just putting your shit out and letting these vatos profit, you know, from you using their fucking platforms and shit. They're getting the checks from the ads. They're the ones getting, you know, getting everything, dog. So
no, I definitely think our dollars need to stay in the community, bro.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
You know
we need to get on that. So it's cool, you know. We're in the beginning stages of that. I feel, you know, as a culture, especially within, you know, the entertainment world.
Yeah.
You're seeing the doors opening. You're seeing they're paying attention more to our peoples, and you know, they're giving deals out now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're actually cutting us checks now.
Hold up, but, you know, hold up. We'll get these fools under the wing real quick before, you know, They're like, we need that.
Yeah, and
I
it's
mean, and again, back to that controlling part. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's just, we need to.
what I like though is that they're cutting checks now based on talent and IP as opposed to some fool that's all banged out and he gets a check like they were giving out back in the other days of Chicano rap where they were just giving fools out checks because they look banged out. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, no, hell yeah. There's a lot of homies doing their thing, dog.
Yeah, no.
And shout out to all the homies, all the real homies, all the real ones, dog, and just doing their thing. Shout out to the homies and shit.
I have to. So before we get like the ending of this, I always ask this, and now I'm a little bit more excited. I ask you now that we sat down and talked a little bit. What? How can I explain this? What advice would you give your younger self? Now, with everything that you've been through and everything that you've seen, and now that you're a little bit more wiser in your life, what would be the advice that you give your younger self? Now, I say that in a couple different factions. That would be choices, music. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What would be your biggest, I guess, life glitch that you would give yourself to your younger self?
Like one of the biggest things I guess I learned from overall, my experiences, was just patience, like they say, patience is a virtue and shit. So I guess, I just tell, my younger self, just, be patient, trust the process. Because at the end of the day, what we signed up for. So it's like, this shit is a process, it's a journey. Of what how are we going to fulfill our purpose or trying to do that, you know what I mean? So I think that be that, just because I was very impatient, you know what I mean? Lose tempers, and just, want shit done quick, you know what I mean? You want results fast, so.
Damn.
It's just, be patient, dog, you know what I mean? And just keep at it, you know what I mean? Like, back to, like you said, the marathon shit, that shit's real right there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why you think that shit was so impactful.
Yeah.
It's real, you know what I mean? It just comes down to that.
And what I guess you could call it advice, but what I like to say, what plans do you have for your future self?
Man, again, dog, just keep going. You know what I mean? Just keep going. Right now, I feel like I'm still young as fuck. You know what I mean? I was backed up, bro. Just being at a standstill for a minute. So, just just go hard, dog. Just keep grinding. I mean, that's all we could do. Just keep grinding, go hard, and just see what business ventures come along the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's it. You know what I mean? Just be open to that. You know what I mean? Seek out the next business venture. And try to just get there, dog. You know what I mean? Try to get there. Try to be part of that. 1%. You know what I'm saying?
That's for sure. I definitely want to commend both of you while you're in the room. You two fools are definitely a big inspiration to me. And I don't tell this fool enough, but you fools are definitely a big inspiration to me. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the business acumen, I didn't always have that myself. You know what I'm saying? That was just
same though. Just from reading and surrounding myself with like like-minded homies. Like
that.
Yeah, no, same. I don't tell the homie myself either, but trust. That's why I like fucking with homies like that, Like I don't fuck with too many people, but
exactly.
Like, just people you look up to, or people that you just like hell yeah, you give it up to, and that's right.
Well, so I definitely gotta commend both of you. Nah, for sure, my tocayo. You know, fool.
Nah,
you know.
That's real. That's real.
You know, not too many people.
Shit that you just gets brought up. Or
yeah.
I mean, I guess it might be awkward. I don't know.
Nah, but you two fools are definitely a big inspiration to me. Not necessarily even on the music, just as starting to become how can we say pillars in the community.
Right.
You guys are starting to be pillars in the community.
You're doing your thing. Being a host, and you took the initiative to do something, you know what I mean, and be a voice and be the face of something. So that's commendable too, dog. So
no, I appreciate it, dog.
Wish you nothing but success on that, and
No, likewise, and anything you need for this, who knows?
Streamer, dog, and big ass, just like these other dudes. You never know, dog.
That's the plan,
that's you don't gotta just keep going, dog. Go hard, and don't fucking hold back, my boy.
Nah,
Don't hold back. Go hard, and that's it. Right? I think that's where we're at right now. Where we just gotta, like I say, get out of that unstuck mode where we're kind of like, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't do. Man, homie, you gotta, just.
Nah, that's
Do
why
your
we're
thing, dog.
everywhere.
Come on.
We're
Yeah.
everywhere. We're stepping into places where we're making you uncomfortable. You're gonna see me everywhere in this bitch.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with the homie Danger. I know we gonna see you everywhere in this bitch.
That's the
And
plan,
I've
homie.
already,
That's the plan, you know what I mean?
I've
So
already
keep an eye
expressed it to my tocayo dog. Like whatever you need, however I can help you, whatever it is that I can assist you with. Please don't hesitate to reach
appreciate
out,
that,
and
appreciate
I'll. He knows I'll get it done.
No,
You know what I'm
appreciate
saying?
that, appreciate that.
So, how do you want to end this? Is there anybody else? Do you want to shout out?
Oh shit, well, the team, for sure, the team, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the homies, Block Baby Lobos, fucking Asesito, Murder, he's fucking
Free
locked
Murder.
up, you know what I mean? Free the homies.
Free
and
Murder.
shit, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean, everybody fucking holding it down, the homie Ray, fucking, you know what I mean? And like I said, fucking, you know what I mean? Infinite 22, dog.
Yeah,
This
nah.
shit happen, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, the homie Trips.
Shout out the homie Trips.
The homie Trips.
My
Where you
good
at,
East Side
Trips,
partner.
dog? That's the homie right there, dog. Where you at, dog?
I know.
Hit
Hey,
him with that we got a
Trip-
banger. He got a banger on that album too.
Hey, Trips interview coming soon, perrito. As soon as you start dropping into some more shit, I got you with your interview, perro.
Yeah. Hey, dog, we got a banger in that with Trips too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Expect more Trips, huh?
Yeah, nah,
That's how
for
we gonna
sure.
end it like that right there.
You know what I'm
look out for
saying?
Trips.
Hell yeah. Everybody else, with that being said, this has been another episode of Kicking It With My Homeboy Dodger. Thank you for sitting down with me. It was an honor to sit down and get to pick your brain, fool. That like not many people actually have like an actual conversation with me. How you were having a conversation with me, so I appreciate that. You know what I'm
Appreciate
saying?
you opening the doors and having me here. Yeah.
No, most definitely. Go ahead and follow me at my homeboy Dodger. What's your Instagram? Where can they follow you at?
Little Danger, Thresh boy.
A Little Danger. What's the label Instagram so they can follow the label as well?
Double S Empire.
Double S Empire. Make sure you follow Double S Empire. Make sure you follow my homeboy Dodger. Make sure you subscribe Eyekon TV. This has been another podcast. Shout out to our sponsors: Balls to the Walls Genetics, Vibes, Cookies, Honey Pack. Use code Dodger on one of them. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get some money off. With that being said, we're out of here. Thank you for everybody to tuning in. Thresh Boys interview coming soon, low key. We'll see if we can't get Chino on the phone. Hey, free Chino, by the way, dog. Free Chino out that motherfucking box, dog.
We know you kept talking about him throughout the day.
I know.
I kept the present throughout but free my boy.
Yeah, free
Rest in peace,
Chino.
Tokes, once again, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, free
Yeah.
Chino. Rest in peace, Tokes.
Rest in peace,
Shout-
Tokes.
shout
Eyekon
out-
too.
yeah,
Eyekon
shout
doing
out my
his
brother,
thing. You know what
Eyekon.
I'm saying? He's holding it down. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He been doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? Even when we were doing, the whole thing with Brownside, like, you know what I mean? He was a big key figure of everything that we were doing. You know what I'm saying? So
No, for
was
sure
big,
it was
big
like
part of
hand
the,
in hand,
he-
dog.
I brought a lot of shit to the table. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Nah, shout out to the whole team. I can't wait to sit down with all of you. Make sure you subscribe. And we out.